Hello, friend. Goyo here. Got a little talk for you today. I'm going to call it Psychedelics and the Spiritual Journey. Very official sounding. Uh, Got to preface this with 3 points. Firstly, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. Secondly, I don't actually recommend anyone do this. Some people may feel called to do it, and I'm just going to share my experience as if I was talking to myself how I would do it differently if I started over again. And thirdly, the scope of this talk is strictly in a spiritual growth sense. This isn't supposed to be in terms of casual recreational use, party atmosphere, blast off type experiences. That's not the aim of what I'm talking about today. So, that being said, psychedelics in general, they modulate your spatial temporal awareness. You might feel a oneness from it that comes from calming down the default mode network. You might feel a fight or flight response from extreme distortions, from non-linear collisions in your mind of spatial temporal awareness, what is versus what you're perceiving. Those can be very confusing factors, and your mind may handle it a lot of different ways. And that's why you need to start slow and low. You need to have some prerequisite tools, and you need to have some kind of guidance from somebody that you trust. So, the first thing to do on this is to actually be on a spiritual path. You don't have to have a lot of clarity. You don't have to be a guru. You don't have to be a master. But you should at least have a direction in which you're heading with your spirituality. If it's a new age thing, if you're into mediumship or channeling or something like that, you should already have an established practice. If you're a meditator, you should have a regular meditation practice. If you are into mysticism or some kind of Abrahamic experience, it should be prayer, should be a regular thing for you. You should have a regular prayer practice. If you just do mindfulness as your practice, like that, that's fine. But you should have a practice. The next prerequisite I would say that's important is to have developed the tools of modulating your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. You should be able to have a tool to bring you up and a tool to bring you down. Typically, these are done with breathing exercises. You want to be able to build up your state to a fight or flight state, and you will be able to bring yourself down to a rest and digest state. Rest and digest is more common. There are cases where it's good to go into a fight or flight mode, but those are pretty rare. Once you have a practice and you have the tools to bring yourself up and down, you want to start a conversation with somebody you consider a guru or a shaman, somebody that can help guide you through a beginning dosage. This is somebody that you want to have a good relationship with. You need to have trust, and you have to make sure that they have the experience of both positive and negative, as well as neutral experiences with this substance. There are certain ways of handling these things. There are certain tools, and they can only be learned by practice. So having someone there that has already practiced these is highly recommended and super beneficial. You have to make sure you're in a season of life where you don't have an immediacy of demand for the emergency contact of others. If you're an expecting father and you're waiting on that phone call, not the time. If you have someone in the hospital, not the time. If you're taking care of somebody with a certain condition, not the time. You really need to make sure that you don't have any obligations for at least a duration of the experience. Once you have all those in place, and then you can make the decision if you want to try it or not. If you do, you want to dose really low. You want to kind of take it into effects of like a scientific approach. Start with how does it affect your body. Specifically, with a lot of psychedelics, there is a lot of cases of nausea, like a lot of diarrhea is pretty regular as well. So dosing low is a great idea to see how those things go for you. Once you're comfortable with the dosage with your body, then you move on to the mind. How's your mind handling it? Are you feeling more oneness? Are you feeling more anxious? Just take notes in a very scientific way of how your mind is reacting. It helps a lot if you view the mind as external to you, if you are not your mind, and you analyze what the mind is doing from a kind of a third person perspective. From there, once you're at that point, you have the right dosage, you know how your body and your mind will handle it. That's the time where you can implement it into your spiritual practice. So your first experience should strictly be a scientific testing to see how you handle it. You should have safeguards there in terms of tools, in terms of a person that's looking out for you that you trust. You should have an environment that is soothing, and you should have as low of a chance of being interrupted for an emergency as possible. After all of those conditions are met, then try it with your practice. Try and meditate with the experience. Try and pray with that experience. Try and do mediumship with that experience. Try and practice mindfulness with that experience. There are a lot of benefits to doing this. Again, I'm not recommending anyone do it, but it has worked for me. I really enjoy listening to Dzogchen pointing out meditations. Just pull up a video on YouTube and let it roll. A lot of people like to sit in silence. A lot of people like to have music. It's this is your practice. This is your most personal experience in your life. So it's okay to cater it to make it be your own. And it's okay if you don't want to do it at all. Don't feel pressured to do it. Just because other people are doing it and recommending it doesn't necessarily mean that it's right for you. So I hope this video at least gave you some things to consider if you're thinking about this. It's worked for me. You can comment below if you have any questions. Again, I'm just the voice of somebody on the internet. I have my practice and I have my experience, but this is what it is. I hope you have a great day. Love each other and take care of each other. I'm out.